Greetings and salutations from the newly named Derek. You can wipe the stupid permanent grin thing off your face. You look ridiculous. Just
what do you want me to do? Frown? I'm happy.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Best
like,
time of the week.
Smile.
Schultz.
A smile shouldn't show teeth. It looks weird. No, just. I mean, but you're gritting.
I'm smiling.
But your smile is like a grit.
What are you talking about? This is a normal smile.
It's not at all.
I just don't know why you have to start every show like this. Like this show is already
like this is a normal smile.
Ruined.
That's a normal smile. You're like
this. No, I don't do that.
You look terrified. You've done this before.
It's professional. It's sexy. It's all of those things.
Yeah. Okay. It's hardly either of those things, but
welcome.
It is Query and Schultz presented by Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lending, and now, and I listen. I want to apologize. I want to apologize not necessarily to Derek specifically, but to Lou Malnati's. That is the most fantastic deep dish pizza, a Chicago staple that is beloved by people all over the Midwest, all over the country for that matter, when you go to Chicago. And, of course, now it is here in Indianapolis. And we met Mark Malnati, who is a great guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Son of the founder, Lou Malnati. And they now are the title sponsor of this studio, the Lou Malnati Studio. And they were nice enough to, of course, adorn us. Huh?
Let's take these out.
With these.
Let's get these out of here.
No.
Here we go.
No,
we're going to nip this in the bud right away.
That needs to sit front and center. They're a title sponsor, for crying out loud.
Nip this in the bud right away.
That's
and
ridiculous.
We've got a nice, beautiful can here, and it is an empty can. I mean, so no tomatoes this week. We did the tomatoes 2 weeks ago. We did the tomatoes last week.
I was apologizing because Lou Malnati's, which, again, if you want to talk about not only pizza, but just tradition, family value, and absolutely spectacular product that people have come to know and love, and to bring it to Indianapolis gives a legitimacy not only to our city, but also to this studio. And so I felt bad because I acted childish with the tomatoes that they had. And
good.
So
I'm glad you recognize that. That's good. That's a step forward for you. You're like 50, so
I'll be 50 in September.
You should be able to recognize these things when you err in judgment, and I'm glad that you recognize this.
It was sophomoric when I would.
Okay, see, now they're all gone. There we go.
Okay,
done. No more tomatoes.
This is episode number 82, and you said Raymond Berry. I'm going to go with John Stallworth or Antoine Randall L.
Randall L. wore 82?
How did he wear 82 if John Stallworth was 82 for the Steelers?
You would think that they would have retired it. Yeah, I feel like we used a bunch of the Steelers for the Steel Curtain. So we used like Mean Joe Green, and then we used
Mel Blount.
Yeah. I feel like there was somebody else
Donnie
in there
Shell, maybe?
that we maybe
We
used.
had to use Jack Lambert at some
so
point,
I didn't want to use too many Steelers.
That's
so
fair.
I just went with Raymond Berry. Look,
Raymond Berry, one of the great Colts.
This is like my, I don't want to say soapbox thing, and it's really, there are so many things to be bothered with in life that this is something that is really stupid to be bothered by, but it's always bothered me. Raymond Berry, Johnny Unitas.
You get very bent out of shape about this.
Like acting like they have some sort of relevance to this city or to the fans at Lucas Oil Stadium. Like Raymond Berry is an amazing player. Johnny Unitas is unbelievable, one of the best quarterbacks to ever live. They have no relevance to John Colts fan in Westfield, Indiana.
You get very fired up about
None.
this.
I think there's a clear separation between the two franchises to me. I think we should take, and this is the only time I'm going to say it, I promise, we should take all the Baltimore stuff and have it be the Ravens' history, and have the Colts have had 35 years here, more than that now, of great, mostly great football with Hall of Fame level players. We should celebrate that and leave all of the Baltimore stuff in Baltimore.
But then what about Brooklyn Dodgers in L.A.?
I hear you. I'm not saying that one size fits all here. I'm just saying that for me, this is more of a pro-Indy Colts thing than it is an anti-Indy Colts thing. I think we have enough to celebrate in this city that we, are they talking about George Mikan at Lakers games? No? Where's George Mikan's statue? It's outside Minneapolis, right? It's not outside Staples Center. Well, they're not even calling it Staples Center, whatever they're calling it now. So I just think that there should be a queer, and it has nothing to do with Baltimore. Boo-hoo about Baltimore. I don't care about Baltimore. I'm just saying that those players are celebrated in the city where they're remembered and revered, and no one cares about Raymond Berry in central Indiana.
Do you want to hear something I learned the other day? Fascinating.
What's that?
Bob Irsay,
Mm-hmm.
owner of the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
Baltimore
I'm
Colts.
aware. Yeah.
Okay. Bob Irsay his resting place is on Crown Hill.
I've been there, yeah. You took me there the first time, I think.
I take everybody to
We had a great moment.
First meetup.
Friendship moment. It's a beautiful view of the city. I think you put your arm on my shoulder at one point. Like it was like a real connection. It was like year 3 or year 4 of the show, and we were working on our chemistry, and I felt like that was kind of a turning point for the radio show because we became really close friends after that.
I don't know that the cemetery's haunted, but I can assure you that was someone else that put their arm on you.
You said you cared about me in the future of the show.
Zero chance.
Direct quote.
That. Were you drinking?
No. It was like noon on a Wednesday.
I don't know. You might have had a couple
It was
of
like
Zimas.
middle of the day.
Bob Irsay's grave is right across from the founder of the Mayflower Van Lines.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Isn't that weird?
Wow.
Mayflower, of course, the van lines that
Yeah.
the Colts used to move to Indianapolis from Baltimore.
Is there any more space on top of that hill, or is that all taken?
Funny you mention, I just talked to somebody the other day. It's kind of like Tuscany. I wouldn't bother if I were you.
Okay. Yeah.
Not really any.
I'm not worried about it because I would be probably at that point. I mean, I'm going to go on to have this. I've already had a great career, but this illustrious career, I want to be remembered. And I would probably qualify to be buried there, but I just want to be cremated and have it be done.
Where do you want to be sprinkled?
I really don't even care.
Yours is probably just like
I
that.
just want you to get, once I'm dead, I'm dead. Like to each their own. Once I'm gone, I'm gone.
Okay.
Like just let me go. That's fine. If somebody wants to put up a statue, I have no control over that.
You know what?
If they want to do that, that's fine.
Here's what I'm going to do. If you go before me, unlikely, I will see to it that I sprinkle you at Fenway Park.
Well, I definitely don't want to be sprinkled at
You
Fenway.
just said you don't care.
As
You're
cool
gone,
as it
you're
is.
gone.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. That kind of goes against that.
We have a lot to talk about on this episode of the show. Thank you for tuning in. By the way, before we get to, we are taping on a Monday. There was snow out today, which was weird. But want to say this first and foremost. It is Patriots Day out east in Boston, speaking of the Red Sox. And congratulations and best of luck, even though by the time this airs, it will have been completed. Our friend and show listener supporter that we had a fun time with at the Final Four, Loyola graduate Garrison Carr, running the Boston Marathon. Pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, what a neat accomplishment to qualify for that and to have the chance to do it. Garrison's a great guy, works at UIndy. Long time supporter of the show. I think he was still in college when he was listening to it back in the day, and we had a lot of fun running into him. Loyola grad, like you said. So 2018 Final Four, I think he and one of his best buddies from Loyola drove all the way down.
Was that New Orleans or San
Antonio?
Okay.
New Orleans was 2012 when we went.
We did
there.
3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
New Orleans, Atlanta, and then Indy, obviously 2015. We did it as well. But congratulations to Garrison, and hope he has a great run today.
The Colts have a corner. Jim Irsay had talked about how they were going to go out and get a big sign, a big defensive, but Ballard's wheeling and dealing, and here it is. They've landed a guy that's a former Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, this is what you want, right? You want the big splash signing, and they got it in Stephon Gilmore, who from about 2016 through 2020 was one of the best defensive players in the entire league. I mean, you put up his resume for about 5 seasons there. He was about as good as anybody else, and, of course, culminating in the DPOY in 2019.
Defensive Player of the Year.
32, coming off an injury, which you worry about, but he was good in Carolina last year. So,
but he was limited in Carolina in the number of reps that he got.
There's always a risk, Jake, because there's this undefined cutoff line when these guys just start to go like this. And 32, it depends on position. Running backs, it's more like 27, it feels like, right? 32 is around that for, I think, most position players. So I think there's some concern there. But what gives me hope is that, A, he's been elite, and B, he was still very good last year.
Right.
Whereas some guys sign like this and they haven't been good in 2 or 3 years, and then that's when the decline has already started.
A couple of things here that I think factor in. First off, let me say this. There's been a trend probably about 10 years ago that started, to me at least, it seems, where, somebody's sending you a message.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
What do you got here?
My mom's texting me.
Your mom?
Yeah.
What's she want?
She had to drop Abby and Dan off at the airport. My sister and brother-in-law were in town for Easter with my niece.
Why does she need to text you about
Just
that?
to let them know they got on the plane safe and all that. Are your
How does
parents
she
like
know?
that?
She can't go to the gate anymore. She assumes.
No, they dropped them off and everything. It's the Indy airport. Everything's fine. Keep going. Come on. You had a good point.
The Indy airport's fine unless it's after 6 and your cell phone's low or you're hungry.
Yeah, if you're hungry at any time at Indy Airport, I think their restaurants are open from 2:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
cornerbacks, defensive backs in general, but corners, every couple of years there is a can't miss, have to get corner that is a free agent frenzy because they're a shutdown corner, and that limits an entire side of the field.
Nnamdi Asomugha, I remember, was like that, right?
Asomugha is the big one that comes to mind. Asante Samuel one year came to mind. It was a huge deal. Richard Sherman, obviously, has been a shutdown corner. But to your point, Derek, when those players go off that cliff, it's a stark drop-off. And my concern for the Colts is that they may have overpaid for, again, a solid player, but I think they might have paid him based on 2018 production as opposed to 2022.
But we had this same conversation a couple of years ago about Justin Houston, and that deal was almost identical, and it ended up working out.
That was a good sign.
Now, Andre Johnson,
not so much.
Not so much. So, yes, I'm not saying that this is like absolutely going to be a grand slam. There is some concern.
I didn't feel like this was an area of major need for them.
Oh, I did, just because of the youth and inexperience.
Maybe, but I guess let me rephrase that. If you had money to spend, it seemed to me like going out and securing a left tackle, or for that matter, and I realize there are not a lot of these out there, a playmaking tight end or a receiver. I think those three were more important than corner. But what they did do, what the Colts have done, and I think this is the strategy, and I can applaud this. I think they looked at it and said, okay, we have two sides of the ball. One of them we're going to deal with before the draft, and the other we're going to deal with in the draft. So they went out and they developed pass rush, or they traded for pass rush. They upgraded the corner that they sent away to get the pass rush. And, obviously the quarterback position speaks for itself, but they have young players on the defensive line that they assume are going to be able to rush passers. They went out and got a player to take care of that in the meantime. They upgraded the corner position probably. Now I think in the draft, Derek, what they've done is put themselves in position where you've got to draft.
All offense?
All offense.
Yeah. They have no OL depth. They can't possibly be happy. Offensive line depth. Okay. They can't possibly be happy with what they have a wide receiver.
But they claim to be.
I think this is what I think they looked at, Jake. I think they really like Isaiah Rodgers.
I do too.
I just think that when it comes to cornerbacks, like look at Rocky Sin is a great example. Rocky Sin ended up being a nice player. It took him 3 years to be a nice player.
Right.
You have to wait on guys. And by just airdropping in Gilmore now you don't have to wait as long because you know what you have, I think.
Lou Malnati's, Derek, Lou Malnati's had the understanding when they placed this here that we would see the tomatoes overgrowing from the can itself.
No,
because
that's tomatoes.
Symbolic of tomatoes.
People have seen the tomatoes. They're
that's symbolic of the pizza.
They're good.
There's tomato upon tomato upon. I mean, it's fantastic.
So I think the Colts looked at it
in the break. We need to pick up those tomatoes and put them in.
Faison is another player who has some NFL experience. He's only got like a handful of starts, and I think they felt like we can't go into the season with Faison and Rodgers being the two starting corners because they're too young and they're too inexperienced. Let's get a guy that they can learn from. And I think that's what you see with these moves across the board, Jake. Look at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's not the player that he once was. Okay, fine. But still, he brings that pedigree with him. Stephon Gilmore very likely is not going to be a NFL DPOY again, or maybe even a Pro Bowl player again. But still, he brings that pedigree with him. When you talk about even somebody like Rodney McLeod, who's not that level of player, he brings that experience and championships and all of that with him. Ngakoue is a Pro Bowl player. He brings that with him. So I think the Colts really did themselves a disservice last year in pinning their hopes on so many young, unproven guys. Remember last year they were like, yeah, you know what? We don't need Danico Autry because we think Touré's coming on and we think Banagou's coming on.
And blew up in their face.
Yeah, it was a disaster. And I think by doing this in free agency, I don't think it's a secret what they wanted to do and fulfill those needs, not only with guys that can play. Obviously, you want guys that can play, but guys that have done it and have that track record and have that veteran presence.
By the way, I redid. Did you see what I did there? Wonderful.
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, well, we have the DeBrand.
I was in the middle of a great
here.
Point, so that's what I was thinking about.
We have WGU with Sage.
Mm-hmm.
We have the American Dairy Association representative. We have Lou Malnati's. We've got the Bailey and Wood Decor over here. WGU here as well. Now what? Now, Stuart
This is
Tire.
too close.
Stuart Tire up front.
It, so you gotta put it back here. The hats are blocking it.
Then you move the hats.
Just don't touch anything. That should
No,
be
this
just
needs to be elevated, Derek.
kind of the rule of thumb. Don't touch it. It's a gigantic can. It doesn't need to be elevated.
It's also the title sponsor of the studio itself.
Fine.
But then Bailey and Wood's got to be there because they're the title sponsor of the show.
Get the cookies near me. Oh, hello. Get the cookies near me over here. Hold on. You're messing with the center of gravity over here.
Right, I am? How am I messing with the center of gravity?
All right.
Here. Here's
so
your little,
while you're doing...
cookies. We need something from Love Heating and Air.
While you're doing whatever you're doing,
yeah,
let me present this question to you.
Appeasing
because you have not been shy about being critical, and a lot of people have been about Ballard. Hey, what's going on here? What are you doing? Now that we see, basically, I think all of the free agency stuff that the Colts are going to do, there'll be a couple of more signings probably. There'll be veteran minimums and things like that come through here in the next several weeks. But for the most part, I think the Colts are done as far as free agency is concerned. And, they have to save some cap space just for this draft class. So, essentially, they've gone from Wentz to Ryan. They've attacked cornerback as a need and reset there.
But, Derek,
with a lot of new people.
Understood, but part of quarterback became a need based on their own
Just hear me out. Just knowing what we know. Look, I can't undo the Wentz trade, okay? The Wentz trade happened. It is what it is. So
corner, I'm saying.
Yes.
Cornerback was partially a need because they sent a corner out.
I hear you, but still, these are all the things that they decided to do. They traded Yassine to fill another need, and that was they felt like they needed a veteran pass rusher, and they get Ngakoue in that deal. They signed McLeod, they signed Watts, so more of the secondary depth. They really haven't addressed left tackle. They haven't addressed offensive line depth at all. In fact, they let a couple of guys walk out the door.
One would assume the draft is going to
and wide receiver is the other thing. But just looking at what they've done so far, can you be happy with the Colts' free agency portion of the offseason?
I'm happy in the fact that they didn't fall victim like a lot of teams do of overspending for something just to spend, right?
Yeah.
But I still think that there are areas that are glaring. The answer to your question for me would be ask me after the draft. Because if they don't address playmakers in the draft and left tackle in the draft, then I'm going to question their decision-making on where they spent money in free agency.
I think they feel like they can roll out there with Pryor, but I think you need to have a backup plan if that's going to be your plan. And so I would be shocked if they didn't take a tackle and wide receiver as well. I don't care what they say. They're going to end up taking receiver.
They have to.
You couldn't fill every hole in free agency. The Colts had too many of them. I think all things considered, they did a really good job of fulfilling some of these holes. I think they got better in a lot of areas.
I don't disagree with that, but here's my concern. The real challenge for the Colts is they're in the AFC. Did they close the gap on Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Chargers, the Raiders? Maybe the division, and that helps. But did they close the gap? Do you see them in that category?
Well, the answer is, did they close the gap? Yes, because I think they got better. I think they improved the roster. But do I see them as a contender? They would have to have everything go right.
Right.
I just think, but Jake, there are a lot of teams that you would put in that category where they can contend, but they need everything to happen for them. And at least the Colts are there. I'm not shut off to them being a contender. I mean, if gun to my head right now, this looks like an 11-win team to me. I would think that this is an 11-6 AFC South right there with the Titans level team,
that's fair.
Which is at the top of tier 2.
If they were in the AFC North, where do they slot? Probably tussling with Baltimore,
yeah,
right?
for the number 2 spot, I think. I think they're in good shape.
Pittsburgh.
I really do. And I'm trying not to be like Homer Colts guy. Because there's been a lot of negative in this offseason, and I've been frustrated just like everybody else. But I do think that they're going to be better at pass rush. I think they're definitely going to be better at quarterback, which is the biggest thing at the end of the day. And I think they have some chances here to fill the rest of these needs in the draft.
If they don't go draft, and if they don't go as they did free agency and upgrading the roster, the Colts and every other team in the league now has another place where they can scout talent and find players that might be able to fill probably more so a special teams void for them. And we're going to get into that next, right?
That's right. From your childhood.
That is
the relaunch of the USFL. And we'll talk about it when we return. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching, barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Your life is on the go. Now your viewing habits can be on the go. With the ISC Sports Network app, your team is at your fingertips. You can download years' worth of content from the ISC Sports Network library. High school, college, special events, weekly and monthly shows, wherever you find your favorite app. And you can always find out more information at iscsportsnetwork.com.
Welcome back. It's Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender presents Query & Schultz.
That
ISC
was
Sports Network.
horribly executed.
I'm Derek Schultz.
It's Query & Schultz presented by Bailey & Wood, Derek.
I'm just smiling because you give me a hard time about my beautiful smile. I have a great smile. The cigarettes over the years, I think, have yellowed my teeth a little bit. But
Really? You never bleached them?
no, I never did it. I tried to do white strips, but it felt weird, and then my teeth would be all like grimy afterwards.
So white strips were a bad taste in your mouth, but Newport cigarettes were cool?
Oh, I loved them. Yeah, I really did. Like, I was one of those smokers that loved cigarettes. And it's a terrible habit, and I'm so glad that I stopped. I stopped many years ago.
I mean, you smoked for what, like 2 years?
No, way longer than that.
Really?
Like 10, yeah. But I didn't start until I was 18. I didn't smoke as like a, my wife smoked cigarettes when she was like 14 or something.
Really?
I didn't do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was kind of in her little village in Vermont, she was like the bad influence on
Her little
everybody
village
there.
in Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ashley was, I was the one that strained her out in college, in fact.
Oh, really?
No, that's not what happened at all.
It was not when I was in college, but when I was slightly younger than that. But I do recall in the early 80s, I would have been probably in the 3rd or 4th grade, and my dad saying to me, hey, there's a new football league, and it's going to be something we can watch in the non-football season, the non-NFL season. My dad and I were huge NFL fans, and it was the USFL. And I recall being on spring break with my parents and going to the St. Pete area to see my grandparents and seeing on the newspaper box the little insert ad for the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my team. I also liked the Birmingham Stallions because my dad's company was based in Birmingham.
Nice.
I didn't like the Stallions color scheme, but I liked the name of the team. They have relaunched the USFL, Derek, with, I believe it's 12 teams.
It's 8, right?
Is it 8?
Yeah, 4 and 4.
So right there you're seeing the
Yeah.
Birmingham Stallions and the obviously with the stallion on them, and the New Jersey Generals. They also have in this installment the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yep.
The Michigan Panthers.
Yep.
The New Orleans Breakers.
Yep. Houston Gamblers.
The Pittsburgh Maulers.
Yep.
And the Houston Gamblers, right?
And one more, the great dynasty of the USFL,
Oh,
Jim
the
Mora.
Philadelphia Stars.
Yeah, Jim Mora Sr. coach.
The Breakers, by the way, a lot of people don't realize this. The Breakers franchise began in, I believe, Boston, then moved to Orlando, and then I don't know that they ever played in New Orleans. They were set to move to New Orleans when the league folded. But there was conversation, very briefly, but there was discussion that the Breakers would move to Indianapolis and that we would get
Oh, I never knew that.
the Orlando Breakers. And instead,
And this
the
was
Colts.
like 82. This
84.
was before. Okay, so this was before the Colts.
I watched it this weekend. I watched almost in entirety the Houston Gamblers, who had a pretty exciting defense, and the Michigan Panthers. The Michigan Panthers quarterback is Shea Patterson that played at University of Michigan.
Yeah.
The coach is Jeff Fisher, who had a hat on backwards the whole time.
Nice.
Now, the one thing that's curious to me about this league, Derek, they play all the games in Birmingham. Now, the Birmingham Stallions had a pretty big crowd. And I know that Nick Yeoman and Michael Young and the guys from IndyCar, when they're down there in 2 weeks, are going to go to one of the games at the stadium there. The problem with all the teams playing in Birmingham is that when the Michigan Panthers and the Houston Gamblers were playing, there was no one in the crowd.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that was kind of cool about that, they have – the game I watched was on NBC, and they had mic'd up a lot of the players, but because there was no crowd, you could hear everything. I mean, it was crazy. You could hear everything. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Now, does that mean that I'm going to make an appointment viewing? Probably not, but not unlike the World Cup for me or other such events, the Olympics fall into this category. I like having sports on just as kind of a background
And that's
thing.
the market. That's the market for it. Just it's football, it's competitive, it's somewhat entertaining. Even if you're not fully immersed in it, it's something to do. I do think that there's a market for it. I think it's like minor league baseball.
That's
you
a
know,
fair way of saying
no
it,
one
yeah.
cares what the score is. You just want to sit in the sun and have a Sun King.
The problem is,
I think with football, it's the same thing. It's football, so hey, it's a nice afternoon. It's a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever. I'm just going to throw the game on.
having it in Birmingham is good because Birmingham has, I mean, it would be a bigger deal there. How many people in Houston or Michigan care?
And I get that these are legacy franchises, right? Like Tampa Bay, but these are all in NFL cities. Like, shouldn't you put it? What if you put a team in Omaha, Nebraska?
Right.
You know, or Jackson, Mississippi. Like, I feel like people there would be like, oh my God, like we have something to root for.
This feels like I don't know this. The Houston Gamblers, I don't think they're actually they don't have offices in Houston, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
I mean, I'm guessing that everyone is they're staying in Birmingham. They're practicing in Birmingham. That's my guess. I don't know that.
I would think, yeah. And it limits costs that way to have everybody in one place.
But I did do a Twitter poll. Let me see what the results were here. Asking people, how interested they were in it because I was genuinely curious about this.
I was kind of depressed by the results because they were not good. I have them right here. Do you want them?
Well, mine would be.
So,
more
Query's
updated
Twitter
there.
poll. 91% of the answers fell into two categories. One was, I'll glance, but meh, and zero interest. 91% of your answers, and that's 1,200 votes. It's all IndyCar doinks.
1,301
That's
now.
Yeah, that's Jake's
What's
entire.
that? It's all what?
It's all IndyCar doinks because that's your entire following on there. 9% fell under the category of I'll watch or I love it.
You know that I do another job now besides IndyCar, right?
Yeah,
And
but
this.
all the people that I hear from that are really into Jake Query are the people that are camped out at 16th and Georgetown right now for the Grand Prix, which is still 4 weeks away.
There are multiple areas in which I draw fascination.
It's a lot like this poll. 91% of it is from one category, and then 9% is from your radio show or there are those three women that email me sometimes about you that are into it and that aren't IndyCar fans. Actually, one of them is an IndyCar fan.
50% said they have zero interest. 41%, to your point, said I'll glance, but meh. 7% said I'll watch a lot, I guess. And 2% said I'll watch regularly
what I
and I love it.
Jake, is that there needs to be parachute's not the right word, or safety net. There needs to be do you watch Top Chef?
I'm familiar with it, not really.
When people get eliminated on Top Chef, there's something called Second Chance Kitchen, and they can cook their way back on the show. So they compete against other people that have been eliminated, and then they win a spot back. The NFL, needs somewhere for players that wash out to have a chance, or players that don't get a chance initially to have another chance to show what they can do. And I think this league, or some league, we've been clamoring for this. Remember the Spring League, which went down, or what was the Bill Poyne thing, AAF, whatever the hell it was.
The American Association of Football.
Or the XFL or whatever. I feel like there's a place for this, and that there's a market for it, and then there's also a chance for the NFL to be helped by this. But we have to accept it for what it is. It's never going to be to the level of the NFL or have the following that these other major pro leagues do.
Stevie Scott was in it.
Yeah.
A running back from IU.
Great. And then if he shows out, maybe an NFL team will sniff around.
Right.
And it's 8 teams, and it's all in Birmingham. I think they've learned from past errors.
That's fair.
Obviously,
they do have, Derek, they have the one biggest thing, and that is that they have a TV contract.
Yeah.
The one thing they should do, and this is a real challenge, the hardest thing for spring and summer programming in sports on the weekends, and you're going to laugh when I say this, I think the biggest thing, not the biggest, one of the biggest factors affecting IndyCar, NASCAR, Major League Baseball, and for the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, the NFL. Because you forget, the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, when it's 65 and sunny outside,
it's still
and
summer.
we're like, oh, man, the Colts are, there are 10,000 empty seats at the Colts game. What's going on? One of the most underrated, underappreciated, and overlooked aspects affecting television sports in the spring and summer is youth travel sports. And it's going to be difficult for the USFL to get significant sports eyeballs in the summer on Saturdays and Sundays because so many people. What'd you do this weekend? Oh, the kids had a travel game down in Cincinnati. We went down to Cincinnati for the weekend, or up to Michigan, or I've got a buddy. My buddy Mike Liker lives in Cincinnati. Calls me twice a year. He's in Indy because his daughter plays soccer, and they're at a soccer tournament at Grand Park.
Sure.
I'm not saying that this is even possible, but the USFL, if they could ultimately get it where they're playing, let's say, Thursday night games on USA Network or NBC on a Thursday night, hard to do that on primetime with the network. I get it. But I think that would be better served to get viewers than would a Saturday at 2 in the afternoon.
I think they're going to dip their toe in, though, Fox and NBC, and see what this is before they,
If you dip your toe in something, does the hair clog the drain?
No, the hair is firmly attached to me, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't shed.
Have you tried to remove that?
No.
They got Nair and stuff like that for the feet.
I think it's fine. I have thought about laser hair treatment because each individual toe has black hairs on it, and that's a little unnerving for people to see my bare foot.
Yes, horrific.
Yeah. But no, I'm proud of my mane of chest hair, and I don't have a single back hair. Not one.
Just wait.
Not one.
How old?
0. 39.
Yep.
0 back hairs. Smooth as silk. Smells great too.
Say that now.
Yep.
Just wait.
Soft skin.
Around 40 is when they start looking for new real estate.
You ready for eats?
I am.
You got to be hungry, right?
I am.
You see the logo in the background. You see it on your screen there. Hoagies and Hops. They were closed Easter Sunday, and Christina went back east. Her parents celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Went to Virginia Beach.
Happy anniversary.
Looked gorgeous, but she came in Monday. They're technically closed. Darren King, our buddy, learned that the hard way. They were closed Mondays. But she came into the kitchen this morning, and so as I was driving up here, I shot down to 42nd and Boulevard because I take 38th out to go to 65 right there in Midtown, and picked up some cheesesteaks.
Nobody says Midtown.
So we got hot,
bring
delicious cheesesteaks from Hoagies and Hops.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at this.
Holy cow.
Ready? Here, wait. Actually, let's show those on camera because I actually plated these myself. Oh, let's see if I can do it without tipping them over. Look at that. Oh, wait, there's a little bit of
Derek,
cheese whiz.
Just turn it around.
Okay. Like this?
No.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what you want me to do.
Like this right here.
Don't touch my sandwich, though. Pick
Right
out whichever
like that.
one that you want.
Right
Yeah, there you
like
go.
that.
That's a good
Perfect.
shot right there.
Do we not have Zoom?
Yeah, that's a gorgeous shot. No, Jordan's coming in to zoom in on the food.
Okay.
See it?
It smells too good for me to
Yeah,
sit here and keep
take
doing
out
this.
yours, and then I'll take mine.
There we go. There
Look at
we
that
go.
with the fade. You add the emotion on the fade. So this is a cheesesteak wit, which means onions. But she also threw peppers in that bad boy that are delicious.
Where's my napkin?
And I didn't bring any napkins.
What the hell are you doing?
I know, yeah. So that's my mistake. And she makes the whiz herself. So this isn't like, out of the can or whatever.
Nobody beats the whiz.
And it's delicious. It's sirloin. It's really, really good. So let's go ahead and bite into that. Look at that.
Watch your mouth.
No marker first. Delicious. And on the soft roll like that, the bread makes all the difference. 42nd and Boulevard, hoagiesandhops.com. Easily the best cheesesteak in Indianapolis. Easily. And also, I love all the cold subs, Hog Island, the whole deal. Keystone, all the ones that we've had over the past couple of weeks. Hero of the week. You're going to get mad because this would have been an obvious choice had he made baseball history, but unfortunately, we'll never know. Clayton Kershaw
This makes me so mad.
still had one of the greatest 7-inning outings in Major League Baseball history. There's something called game score, which is a recent development. And his 7 innings, where obviously he only threw 80 pitches, he struck out, I think, 13, was the highest rated 7-inning start in baseball history since they started tracking it. I mean, he was He was on fire. And perfect games, you're usually really, really great. But sometimes there's luck and circumstance involved. Kershaw was just overpowering. I mean, he was just – this is one of the great pitchers of this era who was on it, dialed up to 15 on a 10 scale.
Derek, first off, when you say in a perfect game, a guy's really, really on it, how many have you seen? There have only been 23 in the history of the game.
Yeah.
22? I don't recall exactly what game that was or how you knew that I'd be upset about it.
I think I saw your tweet about it. That's why.
How about this with Clayton Kershaw? You realize that if Clayton Kershaw had a perfect game, you would have had in the same calendar year the Masters winner, a perfect game pitcher, and the Super Bowl winning quarterback, all from the same high school.
Wow, I didn't think about that. I knew him and Stafford went.
That's unbelievable.
Scheffler went to that high school?
Yes.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a ridiculous high school. That's like Rakestraw's birthday with LeBron and Tiger and all that. It's like an embarrassment of riches. Yeah.
But anyway, I get it. I know that Dave Roberts, his job is to put the Dodgers in the best position to win a World Series, and Clayton Kershaw's had injury history. I get it. People pay good money to go to a Major League Baseball game, and when you are on the doorstep of a historic event, to punt that, to me, is inexcusable. It makes me so mad. I would have been, honestly, if I was there at Dodger Stadium, or was it on the home? It was at home or away?
I don't even know.
It was away. If I was at that game, and I paid my money, and a guy is 6 outs away from one of the most historically great performances in the history of Major League Baseball, over 200,000 games pitched, 22 perfect games. If they punted on that, I would have run onto the field, and I don't know, I pulled up a bag and thrown it. I'd have been that mad.
Wow, that sounds angry.
Yes.
I don't know. Remember the threshold was 100 pitches, and now it's like 80.
He was at 70 pitches.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of data. The data doesn't seem to say that there's a hard cutoff. Like all these guys' arms and physical limitations, whatever, are different. So there's no hard and fast rule of, oh, my God, he threw his 82nd pitch, and he can only throw 81. But, like, we pretend like there are. So I see it from Dave Roberts or even from Kershaw's perspective. I do see that. It's April, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. We've got a long season. I totally understand that. Like, I'm not angry that it happened, but I'm just...
It's April, which means he's got plenty of time to rest from his additional 30 pitches.
I'm just disappointed, A, as a fan, because I want to see history whenever there's a chance to be history. And B, I think we just kind of make this stuff up. I don't think that there is a real number that you can say.
Can you imagine? I mean, if you're Clayton Kershaw, by the way, this sandwich is unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you're Clayton Kershaw,
I'm gonna drink the cheese whiz. Is that weird?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Just
I warmed it up, and I'm just gonna drink some of it.
I guess I didn't want any more of that on my sandwich.
It's a good thing that you didn't. I got some in my beard. So, did you bring paper towels? That's good. Really good whiz. Just stick your finger in there right there.
No, I'm fine. Thank you now.
Sure?
Yeah, that's
right.
I can
take
see.
a big scoop out of there.
No, I can see hair in
I
it.
just put my there is a mustache hair that got in there. That's all right. I have no problem with that. Did you want any? Did you want any whiz?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll stop by 42nd Boulevard at Hoagies and Hops and
I'll get my whole thing of whiz. Mm-hmm.
If you're Clayton Kershaw, are you not? Look, missed opportunities. Like I'm sitting here right now saying to myself, I should have gotten that whiz before you decided to devour it face first.
Should have.
Clayton Kershaw can say all the right things right now. Derek, he's going to wake up in 10 years and be like, I can't believe I was that close. Some guy who's the 5th rotational pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks is going to throw a fluke perfect game, and Clayton Kershaw is going to be like, I can't believe that guy did something.
I mean, like, I wonder, and he had a Hall of Fame career and an amazing career. Mike Mussina was 1 out away. I think he was 1 strike away from a perfect game in 2001. And I kind of wonder, like, did he wake up this morning and think of that game? Did he think of Carl Everett getting that base hit with 2 outs in the 9th? Because you'd be so close. And the way Kershaw was pitching, I mean, at any moment, of course, that's why perfect games are so hard. You got to have a broken back,
I'm convinced of this,
whatever.
Kershaw's a remarkable pitcher, but I'm convinced that his odd windup is part of his advantage. Because your timing as a hitter would be completely thrown off by his hitch thing.
I don't know. I just feel like we've kind of weighted back to the pitchers. Remember, for a while, it was like a hitter's league, and now it just feels like we've gone back again. I saw a stat that there were like 14 games on Easter Sunday and like 13 total home runs, which was the fewest in almost like 30-something years. It's crazy.
Remember the year that everybody was hitting home runs in 98, and they're like, it's the way the ball is seamed.
Yeah.
Okay.
There could be some truth to that. We don't know. Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, hoagiesandhops.com.
The fact that some of them were shrinking,
Catering,
if you know what I mean.
as well. I don't want to forget this. St. Joan of Arc, which is over in your neck of the woods, right? 40th and, is that Washington or Central? I think they're on Central, right? 40th and Central. 10% of all the proceeds, chili water brew and food from Hoagies and Hops on Tuesday, what's today, the 18th, the 19th, go to St. Joan of Arc, which is a great school over there in Midtown. They do fundraisers like that. They do that at St. Thomas, where James goes to school.
This thing's unbelievable.
And MLK Center and all those places. Best cheesesteak by far. We'll come back. Some basketball news. Not only NBA playoffs, but good news for both Butler and Indiana. We'll discuss when we return. It's Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on ISC Sports Network.
College wasn't built for me.
It didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Or if my kid had a fever.
Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
I want to take tests when I'm ready.
I want to take courses on my time.
And speed up when I know my stuff.
I want a university that cares about me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood, your mortgage lender experts here locally, as you just saw with Jeff Saturday, who calls Indiana home. Derek's pouring himself an ice-cold glass of milk. Derek, I am pleased to say that I was privileged, I should say, enough to drive the pace car around the Speedway for a couple hot laps on Friday.
Oh, you're kidding. Mm-hmm. Because you're on the radio network?
Actually. Or was that
the fan related?
Yeah, the fans. So I went over with the digital group from 1075, thefan.com. Thank you very much. And did a series of videos that we're going to do for the month of May showing different aspects of the Speedway. But one of the things that we did, J&V was actually supposed to do this aspect of it, and he couldn't make it. So we did with Doug Bowles, kind of like the Seinfeld coffees and car deal. And they had the pace car with, all kinds of cameras all over it, and we were mic'd up. And then Doug and I just drove laps for we probably did 10 laps.
And he drove?
He drove.
Cool.
And then he said, you want to try it? And it was a stick.
Wow.
He said, can you drive a stick? And I said, yeah. Now, I will admit, he did we went into the turns at about 140.
Incredible.
But I'm like, you know what? I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to put it into the fence.
Right.
Yeah,
I probably got up to 100 on the straight, and then
I guess anybody, you're about the age range where it is cut off, where you still have some knowledge of how to drive a stick because cars were still.
Yeah, my first car was a stick, and then I had one in college. But yeah, it's probably been 20 years since I've driven one.
Because I had some friends in high school that drove. Like I had a buddy, Jamie Clemente, that had a Saab Turbo that was stick, and that thing flew. I mean, he would beat on Mustangs and all kinds of like big engine cars because it was whatever. And I never learned how to drive stick.
I think if you have a young person, it would be advantageous for their first car to be a stick because fewer people can drive their car. But
that's true.
But I hate to say this, there are also situations where you might need other people to drive your car.
Yeah, and that'd be a problem.
Right.
Ashley had a Saturn that was a stick in high school. So I guess maybe more my age range because you could still get a manual transmission, right?
You
If
can.
at
I
a
think it's
dealership?
special. It's funny. Doug was telling me. I said pace car. It was one of the like official cars, so it was a Camaro. But it's the one that Doug has through the month, and and he requests a stick, and it's the only in that fleet of the of those cars they have. That's a
I mean, for cars that go real fast, it needs to be.
It's pretty cool.
A stick shift. So,
but of course, we were talking about the fact one of the things that I did in my video series was showing where the milk is stored over the course of the Indianapolis 500. One of the great traditions that's coming up now, and I can't wait for the month of May. But Derek, the American Dairy Association of Indiana, once again, one of the great traditions also. For the third straight year, Derek and I will be co-hosting the Fastest Rookie Luncheon from the American Dairy Association of Indiana, where they honor the fastest rookie qualifier for the 106th Indianapolis 500-mile race. It is the first time Derek and I have done this with people actually in person. We've done it virtually the last few years, and I think that probably ensures that we're going to screw it up, and I would most likely think that would be you.
No, you're usually the one that gets all nervous. Oh, you take it here? I'm scared.
Okay, listen.
You're usually the one that gets nervous with that.
If I may. Of the two of us, when we have to co-host or co-MC an event.
Yeah.
It would only make sense that I would be the one of the two that's nervous because I have the lesser partner in the situation. You have nothing to be nervous about. You've got natural ability and ad-lib smooth nature right next to you.
The alphabetical nature of the show, Query and Schultz, leads it to be you're the one leading.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's Query and Schultz. It's not Schultz and Query.
Right.
So you're usually the one that has to do like the introduction and all of that. So you do, I will admit that you do a little bit more of the heavy lifting, but my God, complainy pants over here just all the time.
What do you mean?
About all of it.
I don't complain about anything.
Oh, yeah.
What do I complain about?
People going to see it, and do we do that right? And do I have to talk this part? Can't you just do it? Like all of that. Just whiny, complainy. Yeah.
But I'm good at it, right?
I don't think people would know that you hate public speaking.
I
think
do
people
hate
would
public
just
speaking.
assume that because you have to be good at it to do.
No, I mean, kidding
what
aside,
we've done
it
as
does
long
make
as
me
we
nervous because whenever we get up there, I just assume that people are like, who are these? Like, I thought Andrew Luck was going to be here.
I think it's a natural human instinct to feel uncomfortable on a stage with a bunch of lights. Like, most of the time, I don't even focus on that, and so I've always felt pretty comfortable like that. But there's always that little aspect of it when it first happens that you're a little nervous and geeky and the whole deal.
We do our Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week each and every week where we pick somebody who was absolutely a winner over the course of the week. And then like Louis Meyer, take a swig of milk in their honor.
Yeah.
And this week, Derek, our nominee is...
Oh, we're going to do that now? I thought we were going to do the Butler, IU, and NBA playoff stuff. Okay,
I just went right to it.
Okay,
the American Dairy Association.
Sure.
Granted, I didn't do the milk facts. I didn't mention the fact that like there's
out of order, but that's all right.
Same amount of protein here as a hard-boiled egg. Same amount as potassium as a banana.
Yep.
Vitamin A as raw spinach. Several cups
How
of
about
raw
this?
spinach.
I want to hear something that I learned this weekend. I was at my parents' for Easter weekend. My mom goes, "Hey, we've got something in the garage we have to show you kids." I go into the garage. There's a freaking wagon where my dad usually parks his 20-year-old Honda Accord.
A radio flyer wagon?
No, like a wagon, like a 1910 wagon.
Like
and
a Conestoga wagon?
Essentially. And it says Jasper Seymour on it. And my great-grandfather was a dairy farmer. Fairview Dairy Farm in Plymouth, Indiana. The Seymours had it. And apparently his old wagon, which he used to take milk from place to place.
It's weird that your grandfather was a dairy farmer and you can't properly pronounce the word.
Dairy?
Milk.
Farmer? Milk.
It's not an E. It's M-I-L-K.
That's
milk.
what I said, milk.
Like it's not a windmill.
I'm saying, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what I'm not hearing that you're hearing. Milk. Okay, whatever. You interrupted my great story. So I never knew this. My mom tracked back her history and the whole deal, and we have dairy farmers that are in our family, not only dairy farmers, but dairy farmers in Indiana. So I was going to ask Jenny or Sally if they could trace back and find information about Jasper Seymour.
The wagon itself, where did your mom find the wagon?
It was in some barn in Plymouth.
Really?
And the owner of it said, hey, when I pass away, we'll sell it to you. And so my dad and mom, when they found out, they got a call a couple months ago.
Who would want money once they're dead?
That he passed away. Well, for the grandkids or fund or, what a trust or I don't know, whatever. And they handed him a check. They agreed on a price. They put it on the back of a truck, and somebody in a truck pulled it down from Plymouth all the way to Carmel.
Why didn't they just put a couple horses in the
No,
front?
it doesn't really work that way anymore. You're not going to be going on 146 or on 31 with a couple of horses drawing an old milk wagon.
Do you know why cigars are called stogies?
No.
From Conestoga wagons, because guys would buy cigars to put in their mouth to basically chomp on, because when you were going up and down on the wagon, your teeth would, from the bouncing, so they would put cigars in their mouth to put in between their teeth to cushion it, and so the cigars became known as stogies because of Conestoga wagons.
Oh, yeah. That's really interesting. My pick this week, Jason Tatum, is the winner for this week, the big winner.
Well, Jason Tatum this is shocking, actually. Brooklyn-Boston, game 1 of the NBA playoffs. And the playoffs this year are going to be exciting, Derek, because you've got, in the playoffs, there are some great matchups. Brooklyn-Milwaukee, Chicago-Milwaukee, excuse me, is really good. Brooklyn-Boston, as we talked about. Memphis and Minnesota,
yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
So there are a lot of really good matchups. And the Nets and the Celtics, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are, wonderfully talented players. Then you have Kyrie Irving now with Brooklyn, obviously, who was on fire. And when he's got it going, he's as good as anybody in the league. So Boston comes down. It was kind of a frantic play where they needed a basket. And I thought Jason Tatum's his layup, he was spinning. He did basically a 180, lays it in at the buzzer, his first game winner in the postseason in his career.
Wow. You know who made that play was Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Because I think Brooklyn misses a long three, right?
Correct.
And it's kind of this play where nobody knows what's going on. It's frantic. Like you said, it's the final 10 seconds. And Smart's just kind of dribbling around, waiting for a window. How many guys would have just taken some off-balance, ridiculous three? And he just kind of waits for an opportunity and throws a great pass. And Tatum, to have the peace of mind to spin and get to the basket like he did was incredible. But, here's a guy, Jake, that plays for a legacy franchise in a huge market. And I just, when you name the true stars of the NBA,
Totally.
I don't think that Jason Tatum
or
comes to
Jaylen
mind.
Brown.
Yeah, and he's going to have a chance to be all NBA first team.
You know what? He's a
going
lot
to get MVP. He's not going to win MVP, but he's going to finish in the top 5.
Derek,
probably.
he's a lot like Paul Pierce in that regard. Paul Pierce was the same way.
Yeah, but you know what? Paul Pierce was so vocal and all of that. I think that you felt like he was a little bit more of the face of a franchise, whereas Tatum, he's a terrific defender. He's a great all-around player. And I don't feel like when you think of the great players in the league or the guys that, oh, my God, I'm going to stop and watch him, he's way down the list for a lot of people.
Great player, though, no doubt.
Yeah.
But speaking of the NBA, obviously, the Pacers not in the playoffs, but Derek, Trae Young, the Pacers needed Cleveland to get into the playoffs.
Just win one game.
For the Pacers to secure Cleveland's pick, which is would have been the 16th pick in the draft.
Would have been the best case scenario. The highest it could possibly be.
And Cleveland has to win one game over Atlanta. Yeah. And everything looks good. And then Trae Young catches fire for Atlanta. And he starts hitting shots, and you're like, oh, my goodness. 8-point lead for the Cavs. Down to 6. Down to 3. And you blinked your eyes. Atlanta up 3, Atlanta up 5, Atlanta up 9, and you're thinking, oh, my goodness, I can't believe what I'm witnessing. And then after Trae Young has, I believe, a 38-point performance that bounces Cleveland out of the playoffs, Cleveland holds on to their first-round pick. Trae Young comes out in game 1 and goes 1 for 12.
And stink bomb, yeah. Stink bomb immediately. But that's the Pacers' luck when it comes to the draft, or you just never hope, right?
What are your folks going to do with the wagon?
They're going to donate it back to the museum, apparently.
What museum?
There's a farming museum or something in Plymouth where they got it from, and they're going to have like James and Tess, their grandchildren, playing it, and it's going to literally sit in their garage until they're passed away.
Oh, I thought you meant they're going to they brought it all the way down here for you guys to see it.
Yeah. I mean, my mom will live until she's 120, so they're going to donate it in 50 years.
When you say wagon, is it covered in everything, or is it just an empty, just a flat wagon?
Just a flat wagon, but it's in really good shape. It's got the original wheels, metal axle, original everything, and you can see Seymour and the paint. It's in really good condition because it's been housed. It's not been in the elements, and it's just crazy to walk into a wagon. 1910, they think.
It's pretty cool.
So 100+ years. No, it's very cool. Yeah. I'm excited about the Minnesota-Memphis. I watched that game, and it's crazy because they just have athletes. Anthony Edwards is unbelievable, and Jaws Ja.
Tom Crean had him.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And they won like 5 SEC games, I think, the entire year. But that's another guy that is kind of like really, this is a chance for him to come onto the scene. And the other series that I'm really fascinated with, I'm not really fascinated with Milwaukee and Chicago because Milwaukee's way better, and Chicago with the injuries, and they kind of skidded to the finish, and they needed like DeMar DeRozan, even though he is a superior player to Victor Oladipo, he had an Oladipo season where DeMar DeRozan's never going to have a season like he just had ever again.
Right.
Like it's an outlier. He's a very, very good player. Don't get me wrong, but this was an outlier season.
Don't sleep on Miami in the East, Eric.
No, I think you could talk me into Miami, obviously Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Philly, any of those teams. Hell, Toronto. Toronto would have to have a lot more go right for them.
Boston?
Yes.
Yeah.
To come out of the East? Sure. I think the Toronto-Philly series is fascinating to me because what's Harden going to be? Because if he fails again and he pouted his way out of 2 places, how are we going to view him?
Harden looks like, do you remember the Kyrie Irving character, Uncle Drew?
Yeah.
That's what Harden looks like.
I think he's one of those guys that, we talk so much about legacy and where you rank. He doesn't strike me as somebody that cares about that at all.
He's Bernard King.
Like, I think he's just a guy.
Great scorer.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Bernard King was a bulldog of a player. You know what I mean? Like, Harden just doesn't even – Harden is an insanely talented guy.
I think the way games are called in terms of and ones and things like that he was so reliant on that now that they're called differently, he's not getting calls that he was so used to, and he just doesn't really know what to do.
I just think it's like a mentality thing with him, and I'm not trying to be like old guy, like, well, they don't care as much as they used to, but I just don't think any of this stuff he's really – like, I think Harden looks at it like, hey, if we make a title run, great. If not,
he's making $51 million
a year. And whatever. But that Philly team, they could get there. If Harden really is, if Harden plays anywhere close to the level that Embiid can play, they're going to be an impossible out.
The thing is,
but I'm not confident
Embiid
that's
is just such a unicorn.
He can't. You can't really. Toronto's going to have the best chance to guard him because they can double, and they have so many guys that are long that can get out and defend Harden and cause him problems.
Have you been to Toronto?
No, I've always wanted to.
You need to go to Roots if you go there.
I heard it's like a much cooler New York City.
I'd say Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. Clean.
Well, I mean, I think it's like the melting pot. You can literally get anything that you want here aspect of it.
Correct.
Of Toronto.
Montreal's pretty cool, too. You been to Montreal?
No.
Vancouver?
No.
Edmonton? You done Edmonton?
No, I've never been to Canada.
Actually, next time we do something like this, all you have to do is preface with, I've never been to Canada, and that could have alleviated me like 7 questions.
My family had like some haunted Schultz fishing cabin somewhere in Canada, and they came back from a fishing trip one time, and my dad said the rocking chair was rocking or something, so they sold it. I don't know. Yeah. Like the...
So this phobia of everything is a genetic trait?
Oh, yeah, the Schultzes are very apprehensive about ghosts and birds and paranormal activity, all that stuff. Yep.
I will tell you this. I meant to tell you this before we get to Love That Play. For Easter, I was at my folks' house, and everyone's sitting around in chairs, and I volunteered to sit on the fireplace because there were no chairs left. Good planning. And as I was sitting down on the fireplace, I heard this terrible crashing, and turned around, and my mom has a large decorative pelican. And
from St. Pete?
My posterior
your parents love St.
hit
Pete.
beak of the pelican and knocked it over. And my mom actually said, "You have to tell Derek that you knocked out the pelican."
Is it from St. Pete?
I don't know if it's
because everything in St. Pete is pelicans. It's on the flag.
I think it's from Broderpool.
Well, but I know your parents. That's a special place for them, and you have family ties to St. Pete.
Correct.
So I just hear Pelican Quarry, and then I automatically think of St. Pete.
But I thought you'd be happy with that.
Yeah. No,
by the way, it's time for Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love Heating and Air has been around for over 100 years in Central Indiana. Listen, how do you last that long? If you take any business class, you know most businesses, family businesses, by the time you get to the third generation, start to drop off in quality. Not Love Heating and Air. They're now in their fourth generation. And I've grown up with them, folks, known them my whole life. I would not steer you in the wrong direction. If you're watching this program, I appreciate it. I don't want you by any stretch of the imagination to be duped by an advertiser or a product. And so I'm obviously confident with Love Heating and Air that you know exactly what you're getting, which is fantastic, fantastic quality product for heating and cooling your home. In addition to that, dedication to customer service, knowledge of the product, great prices, 24-hour on-call maintenance. Love-HVAC.com is their website. That's love-HVAC.com. 317-353-2141 is the telephone number, and they bring us each and every week our Love That Play, our favorite play of the weekend. And, Derek, you went with one that is a team close to the ISC Sports Network.
I went to one with my favorite play-by-play broadcaster. How about that? Greg Rakestraw, our guy Rake on the call. It's always cool when in stoppage time you get a tiebreaker goal that ultimately – this is like essentially a soccer buzzer beater, because if you score in the 92nd minute, the chances are 99.9% that you're going to end up winning. But the 11 scored their first home game win and extended its unbeaten streak to 4 games, 2-1 over Atlanta United 2.
That was perfectly executed.
Yeah, Aris Briggs with the strike. 92nd minute broke a 1-1 tie. And congratulations to Mark Lowry, new head coach of the 11, first home victory. Brickyard Battalion, the whole crowd was fantastic.
I traveled
at Carroll
with them,
Stadium.
Down to
really
Texas.
Good. Yeah.
They were on my flight.
They're very passionate.
I was on their flight.
Very passionate. You don't have the ticket package anymore, though, right?
Do not.
You did that the first year, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fun. I mean, it's actually been pre-COVID was the last time that I went.
Did you go with Will Carroll?
I've been a couple times. I've never gone with Will. But I went the last 2 times I went at Lucas Oil Stadium, and it wasn't the same. It needs to be a Carroll to me.
Right.
Because I need
more intimate.
The feel. Yeah, Lucas Oil was just way too big. Too spread out.
You know what it's time for?
Quick hits?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Do not touch me. We've actually done well. See what happens when I limit the
wait a minute. You knocked Sage off.
The issues. So now we just have the empty can, and we don't have to worry about the actual
Sage right off of there. Sage the Owl, who come up with our Sage Movie of the Week from WGU Indiana, which is the largest and best online accredited university in the state of Indiana. But be careful with Sage also.
If you made me spill milk,
huh?
I'd be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, would you be crying?
You already
over
spilled milk all over. I've washed all the shirts. I laundered them all.
Crying over spilt milk?
For this week,
yeah,
remember?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you sopped chocolate milk all over, all of it. Quick hits, Sage Move of the Week, Chateau Kitchen's Butter Bowl. We've got a lot to get to.
All right.
Also, the return of one of my favorite TV shows, and I'm not sure that you like this show, but I want to talk about that too.
My Little Pony?
Well, I know that you don't like My Little Pony. It's Corey and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
McCulling in time. Oh, no! It's good. This one is good. There you go. Wow, Dawson makes a great catch. Spin, win, 3, bury it for Leland Walker.
Tie the game they do with the dunk by Malik Edmonds. What a play.
Oh, my goodness.
I feel a little momentum starting to fall Ellen's way.
That is Wrestler! Wrestler!
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
You just saw Jeff Saturday and Walker. Bailey & Wood Financial Group presents Query and Schultz. Here on IC Sports Network.
Derek, you screwed around and forgot to get to the Butler IU stuff.
855-350-HOME. That was all your fault. So we had teased Butler and IU.
Phone number again, please.
855-350-HOME. 13 Indiana branch locations.
A little bit slower this time. People.
855-350-HOME.
And that's for Bailey & Wood or BAWFG.com.
Which is what I just said. 13 Indiana branch locations.
I had a conversation with them, and they said, we really are happy with what you guys are doing, but slow
No, that's not. You don't even have Mike's phone number. I do.
Huh?
I'm the one that corresponds with all of our clients.
He told me that. We went out.
I am the client success specialist for Query and Schultz. That is also
Really?
what I am, besides just the co-host of
Is
the
that,
show.
is that on your
So
card?
we teased, it actually is. We teased Butler and IU, and Jake went right to and we love, this is like really good milk. This is like the best milk I've ever had.
They brought it down.
I don't know if it's just like super fresh, like from the udder or what, but it's
trailed
really
it
good.
down from Plymouth.
Anywho, both Indiana and Butler get returnees. So Race Thompson comes back for his 17th year of eligibility at IU. And also, and this was not, this was a surprise to me. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I really followed it. But the Lithuanian kid, as my neighbor Mike calls him, Simas, coming back to Butler as well. One of the bright spots of last year's team.
And Butler may add Rob Fennessy by the time it's all said
Yeah,
and done, right?
he's deciding between – did he give an actual timetable on that? I know he visited Butler this past weekend, but between Butler and Cincinnati, yeah.
One thing, let me offer a PSA to Indiana fans. I don't mean this to be honestly, I'm not trying to be snarky. I'm not trying to be rude. I love Race Thompson, by the way. I think he's a wonderful player because he's just gotten better each year. He does the little things. You don't have to have plays go through him. Kind of guy that you need on a winning team. No question about it. I love Race Thompson. But Indiana, this is true of all universities, but I see it with Indiana more than any other. When on social media, when it's leaked that a top player is interested in your school, the more that you tweet to that player and show him love, the more likely you are that he's going to say, yeah, these people need to get a life. I'm going elsewhere. Quite frankly.
I don't know. Some guys like that.
Maybe.
I think it's creepy and weird. I think it's creepy and weird, but some guys like
I think
the
at
attention.
first they might kind of like it, but, I mean, it gets to the point where it's over the top.
Like our buddy Jeff Rabjohns had something about this got 900,000 views for one of those 5 stars that they're in on, and I just think, look, again, I'm really not trying to judge. Do whatever you want to do, but to me it's creepy and weird. It's creepy and weird for a grown man to be tweeting to or coveting some 17-year-old to pick his favorite school. I just think it's creepy and weird. I'll never not think it's creepy.
100% agree.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think there are players that think that,
yeah.
Derek.
Do I want do I want 5 stars to go to Indiana and Purdue? Yeah, of course I do. Of course I want that, but like to take it to that extent is weird to me.
Here's the thing with Indiana. And I'm not trying to pick on Indiana. I'm just using it as the barometer because it's the one in which I'm most familiar. Let me give you some the most coveted recruits that I can recall in the last 20 years in Indiana basketball history, like when they announced where like people were doing backflips, okay? And I want you to tell me on a 1 to 5 scale, a number of stars, how big a lasting positive impact it had on the program.
Okay.
Eric Gordon.
Yeah, I mean it was over when it began, seemingly.
Okay. So what 1 to 5
3.
stars? That's pretty generous.
Well, Gordon is one of the best examples of somebody that actually had a nice season, even though he had wrist problems.
Noah Vonleh.
Oh, God, that team. Poor Noah Vonleh. He wasn't used right, and that team was a disaster around him, too.
Very generous.
Noah Vonleh was a really good player. It's just...
Thomas Bryant.
Oh, Thomas Bryant would be more like a 4.
Okay.
And he was on the 16 team that won the league.
Yogi Ferrell would be a 5, right?
Yeah.
Cody
one
Zeller.
of the great players.
Cody Zeller.
Zeller, the same thing. Ushered in a great era. Well, a great era. It was a great 2 years.
James Blackman Jr.
Yeah, not much. He was on the 16 team, but
2?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Romeo Langford.
Yeah, like a 0. Is a half an option? 0.5?
I think he and Eric Gordon were the exact same.
No, I think Gordon's team fell apart around him. I think Langford fell apart along with everybody else on that team. That whole season just eroded away after December, it felt like. I mean, Bracey Wright burst onto the scene. And
you gave an average of a 3.0 there.
Yeah, you thought was going to be a good player. That's another guy that they got, and you thought, and nothing really came of it.
Andre Patterson?
Yeah. Well, hell, Charlie Miller was supposed to be like the next big thing.
I always say, Charlie Miller right now is still walking around Chattanooga looking for his jump shot that was lost somewhere between Miami and Bloomington. Right?
Charlie Miller was the top recruit in that class, wasn't he?
Patterson was, but Miller was right behind him.
And Patterson had a really nice 4-year career, but it was not like some like all-American crazy level player.
My point being, it's a crapshoot, right?
Yeah.
So people that are like, oh man, they get Hoosiers, here we go. They got this
But
kid. Okay.
to get him back, he's been in the program. I agree with you. I don't want Race Thompson touching the ball in crunch time because he's prone to make mistakes.
The problem is, not problem, but it's a good problem to have. But with him coming back now, does that force Jordan Geronimo elsewhere? And Geronimo, you have multiple years of availability with him, but
I haven't. Has he been cryptically tweeting about going?
Jordan Geronimo is rumored to be looking elsewhere because his family didn't think he got enough minutes, yada, yada, yada.
Because he said some nice things on Instagram, I thought, about IU
Did
after
he?
the season. I thought that he's alluded to the fact that he was coming back.
I hope that's right.
The fact that he's not in the portal right now, everybody's in the portal, leads me to believe that he's going to be back, right? I mean, they're already working out and doing all that stuff because they always do. Lukosius and Butler, though, you get Jaden Taylor back too. The players that matter for Butler are coming back. The young players that matter
it
for
will
them.
be
And I think
very
that's a good
interesting
thing
to
for Thad
see
Matta.
how they're different under Thad Matta.
They're going to be better. The guy can coach.
No doubt.
No offense to Laval, but the difference between Laval, Jordan, and Thad Matta from a coaching
one thing I've
standpoint
noticed
is-
about Thad Matta that he's developed since he left Butler the last time?
What?
Speaks in third person.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and then people told me that it was arrogant, so I stopped doing it.
When did you ever do it?
Like through my 20s.
Give me an example.
Like I'd be at Kilroy's, and I'd be talking to a girl about, hey, what do you do at IU? Well, Derek Schultz has a radio show. And it would work a lot. Like, you'd be surprised how often that worked.
Because they thought you were taking them to go meet somebody else.
No, they knew that I was referring to me. And I did pretty well. Like, there was one, like 2005, I referred to myself only in third person. That was one of my best years in that category.
Okay.
And I had a lot of good years, I'm kind of like Stephon Gilmore. I had like player of the year peak, and then I also had like a lot of other Pro Bowl years. So
okay. I think it'd be more as Andre Patterson. You had one shining moment, right?
Well, I knew that you would act that way when it came to that.
Just saying.
We've got our chocolate to get to as well from DeBrand, because just because Easter's over does not mean that the candy parade stops. Mother's Day is right around the corner. But let's first get to our quick hits. If you want to do that. Actually, do we already have the logo? Yeah, we've already got DeBrand. Let's just do DeBrand right now. Jake's got the basket right there. Did we eat all the Easter stuff?
No, here, I've got something right here.
I think we ate all the Easter stuff.
No, there's a bunny here.
Oh, give me some bunny. What's left of the bunny? We ate the ears. We ate the face. We ate the feet.
We decapitated the bunny, but we have.
Do we have his torso?
How about the egg? The egg was what you got into.
Yeah, the Rocky Road egg is delicious. I'm gonna get some Easter bunny torso here.
Look at these truffles, Derek. Look at these truffles.
Get your mail order in right now for DeBrand Fine Chocolates for Mother's Day.
Look at
and
truffles.
let mom know you care about her. Or if you're like me and your wife is a mom, you take care of her by showering her with gifts like chocolate at DeBrand Fine Chocolates in Indianapolis.
Would you like a truffle?
I'll take a truffle. You got one. 317-669-0955.
Derek, you got to say the number without your mouth full. You're dropping stuff all over the place.
317-669-0955.
Slower.
I just said it slow. That's as slow
No,
as
no,
I can
no.
go.
Derek.
317-669-0955. So call Lori and Bill or their crew at DeBrand Fine Chocolates Indianapolis, or
Here's
go
the
visit
thing.
them, shops at the crossing.
That's it.
By the Fashion Mall, and put in your mail order for Mother's Day because they have these delicious. Look, I feel bad eating this.
I know.
Because it's so beautiful.
Like artwork, right?
It's like this gorgeous, like little chocolate sculpture that you have here with the truffle, but it's too delicious not to eat. Oh my God, it's good. Oh, the real like dark mocha.
At least you're not swearing.
It's amazing. And
the present, I'm telling you, the shop alone, it's beautiful.
Shut up for a second because I have more. Nate, congratulations to Nate. He was our YouTube commenter of the week last week. So Nate gets to go into DeBrand Fine Chocolates Indianapolis and get the free tasting. So you get the truffles and you get 2 drinks. And they have a delicious coffee bar. That's how you actually got turned on to DeBrand Fine Chocolates Indianapolis the first time. But if you're watching right now on YouTube and you've commented, and you're not Matthew because Matthew's in Maine, so unfortunately he can't cash in the the tasting in person in DeBrand Fine Chocolates Indianapolis, we could pick you as our commenter of the week. So leave a comment, talk about how, I don't know, you like Jake's hat or you think I'm super sexy, whatever it is. Put that in the YouTube comments, and then we can pick you. YouTube commenter of the week.
You're the most disgusting eater.
Like,
I can hear that from here.
You eat this, and like, I don't think I could ever just like eat an M&M again.
No question.
Like, this is just,
yeah, it's a whole different.
You just level up chocolate-wise.
No doubt.
So thanks to our friends at DeBrand Fine Chocolates. Mail order, that number one last time, 317-669-0955.
If you go online, it's
Shops
the
at River
brand
Crossing.
of Indianapolis, by the way.
Yeah, DeBrand Fine Chocolates of Indy. Let's get to Stuart Tire and our quick hits because I've got a show that's coming back that I'm excited about. And I think I remember you said that you liked this show, but it was so many years ago that I don't remember now. By the way, our friends at Stuart Tire and Auto, Stop 13, Southside Indianapolis, Darren and Crystal King, the best. Anything that you need for your car.
Yep.
So, yeah, it says tire. And, yeah, they do oil changes. You could do all that stuff. Brakes, pads, anything under the hood.
Struts.
Don't take it to a dealership. Just don't. They're going to screw you. It's going to cost a bunch of money. They give you a fair price. They give you an honest work. That's what you get at Stuart Tire and Auto. So give them a call today or head down to Stop 13 Road on the south side at Stuart Tire as well on Facebook and tell them that Corey and Schultz sent you.
This chocolate's fabulous.
Quick hit number one. The Indiana Fever, I'm going to wash it with some milk here. Unprecedented draft haul last week. 4 top 10 picks. They get Nalissa Smith from Baylor, who was considered kind of the 1A, 1B.
Right.
She could have very easily been the top overall pick. Emily Engstler as well from Louisville. Some people felt like they reached a little bit at 6 with Lexi Hull from Stanford, and even at 10 with Queen Egbo of Baylor. But they drafted Pat Berg out of IU.
Right.
Destiny Henderson out of South Carolina, who was huge in the title game. So it's exciting. I love Lynn Dunn. I know you do too. The Fever needed to go into settings and reset their phone to the factory default for the franchise, and that's essentially what they did. Have you ever wiped your phone before? Or wiped anything?
Sociopath? Am I Tom Brady?
Well, I've wiped stuff before. Sometimes I just get too much crap on it, and I feel like I have to wipe it all out. And that's what the Fever had to do. They had a lot of crap on their roster.
Here's the thing, Derek. The thing that I loved about the Fever's draft haul, aside from, I mean, it'd be disingenuous to say that I've watched a lot of these players, but they came from programs that are used to winning.
Yep.
Baylor, South Carolina, Louisville, Final Four level
IU
programs.
at this point.
Yeah. So they got a bunch of players that know how to win, and that's what I like.
Yeah. And Lynn Dunn's great. It's just so easy to root for. Not that Tamika wasn't. Tamika was great too, but just didn't hack it as an executive. Quick hit number 2, young NFL star receivers aren't participating in offseason programs until they get paid. Sources told Adam Schefter that Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, right here in Indianapolis at Cathedral, all seeking new contracts and are not expected to participate. All 3 of those guys' selections from the loaded 2019 draft where the Colts selected Paris Campbell. DK Metcalf was in that draft as well. I mean, it was an unbelievable receiver draft, and that's what you end up with. But they've seen what Devontae Adams got and what Tyreek Hill got, and they're on their rookie deals, and they feel like they want to get paid now and get that secured.
That chocolate was really good.
Yeah. Business decision. I get it.
But they're still under contract, right?
Yeah. Business decision, though. Got to be about you. Finally, quick hit number 3, our final one. Better Call Saul is back. We're taping this right now on Monday, and Season 6 debuts tonight after a 2-year hiatus. 6th and final season. I don't remember. Do you like Better Call Saul?
I never saw it.
Who was I talking to that said that they really liked it then?
Here's the thing. I liked Breaking Bad, and I know Saul was a popular character.
Yeah.
I thought Breaking Bad, and I thought it was great, but I thought Breaking Bad went like one season too long. Like, it just kind of got like, okay.
I'm not trying to say this to like be like outside the box or be like edgy and cool. I think definitively all around Better Call Saul is a better show. I think it is a better show. I think there's better writing.
Is
I think
it
there's
in
better
Albuquerque
acting.
Also?
Yeah, it's a prequel to Breaking
knew
Bad,
that.
essentially.
But
But Bob Odenkirk is a sleazeball. Don't get me wrong. But Walter White was a complete sociopath by the end of that show. Like a really genuinely terrible person, like a murderer and a bad guy. And so I don't feel guilty rooting for Bob Odenkirk.
Right.
Even though he's kind of a sleazebag. But this final season, I think, is going to be
we
excellent.
We know someone mutually that reminds me of Saul. I'll just say that.
Did he work in sales and radio? Because I think there are aspects of him that remind me of somebody that used the word bro a lot.
I have no further comment.
Okay. I think that's who we're both talking about. Yeah. I think that's who we're both talking about. We'll just leave it at that. Sorry, I hate to do like the inside joke thing on the show, but
yeah, it's always fun.
We're just going to leave it there. We'll come back, final segment, Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bold Bleep. We've got our Sage Move of the Week to get to, and we will bid you adieu, full of cheesesteak and chocolate and milk and Lou Malnati's pizza.
Milk.
Here on Corey and Schultz.
Milk.
Milk.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do. From Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
College wasn't built for me.
I didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Or if my kid had a fever.
Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
I want to take tests when I'm ready.
I want to take courses on my time.
And speed up when I know my stuff.
I want a university that cares about me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
Derek, you said you're taking it out.
I said, do you want to take it out?
No, you said, I'll take it out.
I've taken it out for every single one that we've come back.
I'm just
This
telling
is the
you.
last one. I thought you could do one.
Malik Renaud, the 5-star prospect
hold
that
on.
we just
What
talked about.
what is this show? Who are these people that everyone's looking at? Who are these handsome guys? Welcome back for a final time. It's quarantine. Do you know how to do this?
Then why don't you do it? That's what I said. You want to take it out.
I said you take it out. I said it nicely. You haven't taken anything. Didn't you just assume that you were going to take this one out?
I've been up since 6.
Okay, just take it in. All right, 3. We'll get all this in post. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome back. My name is Jake Query. The other annoying voice you hear on this program is Derek Schultz. I shouldn't have said another because it's the only annoying voice. Mine is a smooth, silky baritone voice that you hear. But the more whiny voice is that of Derek Schultz. This is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named, now charitably award-winning Query and Schultz program on ISC Sports Network. What's that?
You don't have to do like our intro. Just get there.
You told me to take it out and introduce
but now
everybody.
you're like doing like 4 laps around the track. It's like, come on, man.
No, but you said introduce it, let people know who we are.
We have like 5 minutes, so let's okay. We'll get right to it.
Malik Renaud, a 5-star prospect out of the state of Florida, the number 28 player in the nation, who we mentioned earlier that everybody was tweeting. It must have paid off. Congratulations. Kudos, Indiana fans. He is committed to the Hoosiers.
Jake was wrong.
Jake
was wrong. All those tweets worked.
That's right.
Good job tweeting, everybody.
That's what it was.
Mike Woodson doing a nice job recruiting so far. And that was a big question mark for him. So congratulations to Woodson and his staff for getting that done.
Yeah, no, I mean, now you got to, no doubt, you're going out and getting the groceries. You got to
now you got to develop him and get him somewhere, because that's something where Indiana's coaching staffs, I think, have fallen short in the past. Let's get to our Sage Move of the Week before we get to Buy It or Bowl Bleep. And we talked about this in segment 2. I just like the fact that the USFL decided to give this a go. I really do. I'm not trying to be – I don't want to be too optimistic here, because these things fail all the time.
Right.
And conventional wisdom says that the USFL is going to fail. But I just think that if we learn from all of the prior mistakes and we don't try to make this into something that it's not, I think there's a market for spring football. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it makes sense for the league. I think it makes sense for these guys that are trying to fight for one last chance to get a sniff, get an opportunity to play pro football.
I enjoyed watching it. It was great. Just kind of, I was cleaning it up.
Even if you're just in and out, who cares? As long as you got it on.
Our Sage Move of the Week is brought to you by WGU Indiana. You heard me mention it earlier. WGU.edu. There are 700,000 of you Hoosiers who have college credits out there that you started but never finished that degree. And maybe life got in the way. Maybe it was money. Or maybe you took a job opportunity and just never looked back. Guess what? You can still finish that degree or start out from anew if there is a new degree that is out for you and college is something that you never tried out. WGU Indiana allows you to work on your schedule with their online programs, of course. Indiana's largest online accredited university, because ambition never rests, and nor do owls, which is why Sage is their mascot. WGU.edu/Indiana. Derek, I do like the move of the USFL coming back and using the same helmet, same color scheme, same everything as the original form. There's a nostalgic nature about it, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would have liked for them to put a team in Little Rock or something where there is no team. But you're right, all the games are in Birmingham, so maybe you don't need that as much.
Did you watch any of it?
Yeah.
You need to pick a team. Who's your team?
I think the Generals, because that would have been my team. But yeah, I don't know. Do we have a mouse in here?
I don't know.
The chocolate?
I don't know what just
happened.
happened.
We got some vermin that are.
I don't know what just happened
back there in the studio.
Vermin.
Wouldn't be the first time. Chateau Kitchens brings you Buy It or Bowl Bleep. Let me tell you about my friends at Chateau. They are doing my guest bathroom, and their workers are so great. You know, they contract all these.
Is this
guys
the bathroom
out.
in the basement?
No, upstairs. That's just a random toilet that's down in the basement. My 5-year-old was off school Thursday and Friday last week because his teacher got sick, and he kept going upstairs and bringing the workers, the tile guys, stuffed animals and Legos and all of that. And I kept trying to get him out of the way so they could work, and they couldn't have been nicer to him, and they had a lot of fun with it. And that's the kind of service that you get with Chateau. It's not only are they great workers, they're great guys.
Also the best at what they do, right?
Yeah, 100%. Before and after pictures at Chateau Kitchens, Instagram, Facebook, chateaukitchens.com. I'm telling you guys, I never have to worry about it ever again. If you're worried about contractors, if you've had horror stories like I have, these guys give you the peace of mind. They take all of the nervousness out of it. Chateau Kitchens.
Time for Buy It or Bowl, Schultz, Derek? In the last 2 minutes? All right.
Statement 1, the Colts will have a top 5 defense next season. Buy It or Bowl.
Top 5 in the league or the AFC?
No, league.
Bull Schultz. Have good players. They'll be solid. Top 10, yeah. Top 5. No.
I was willing to say Bull Schultz, but just to go against you, I'm gonna buy it. I think there is a scenario where Dio hits, where Quiddy hits, and then you get what you think you're going to get out of Gilmore. You think what you think you're going to get out of Ngakoue. Leonard's Leonard. Moore's Moore. The whole deal, and this turns into a top 5 unit.
Okay,
I do.
I mean, there's potential.
You have to have a lot of things go right, but I think that there's a chance for that. I really do. And I like the depth chart, especially in the defensive secondary. James Harden will never be viewed as a winner. Buy it.
100% buy it. Even if Philly wins it this year, it's going to be because of Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it would help if he had a championship to attach to it. I'm not usually one of those people, well, you got to have a ring. But, like, Reggie Miller to me is a winner. Patrick Ewing was a winner. I know they didn't win, but they were winners. And I don't view James Harden like that.
Right.
Because I just don't know if the drive is there,
I would agree with that.
The British accent is the absolute worst thing of all the bad things that Jake does. Buy it or Bowl.
No, that's absolutely 100% Bull Schultz.
I mean, do I need to answer this one? You just
my
heard
British accent is out.
It's so bad.
People love it. Do you like the Beatles?
Absolute worst. Thanks to our sponsors.
You must like it.
Bailey and Wood Financial Group, Chateau Kitchens, American Dairy Association, Indiana,
your loo?
Stewart Tire and Auto, Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, Love Heating and Cooling. WGU Nan. Who am I missing? Oh, DeBrand Fine Chocolates, Indianapolis. Everybody. And to our crew,
chocolates.
Alan Hughes, Greg Rakestraw, even if they're not.
Lou Malnati's.
We will see you next
title
time.
sponsor
No
of the
more British
studio.
accent. And Lou Malnati's Pizzeria. How could I forget?
I just said that.
Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
I don't know. It's good pizza.